Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? 1 second, just getting some stuff settled here. Okay, that's great. I always have like multiple things playing in the background. Hello, welcome. My name is Chris Gillibo. This is all about finding opportunity in a time of uncertainty. I've been going live on YouTube every Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. It may be afternoon, it may be evening. You might be watching this later, depending on where you are. But wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching from, whatever you're up to, I'm glad you're here and I hope you're doing well. I can see we have a lot of our regulars here. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat. I have a little bit of a cold today. I don't think it's coronavirus, but you never know. I just read that somebody had the plague in California, like the first time in 5 years, which I was like, I thought the coronavirus was the plague, but it's a different plague apparently. But that's not me. I should be okay. Looks like Martin is here from Slovakia. That's awesome. Welcome. Judith from Asheville, North Carolina. Stephanie from Maryland. Brooke from New York. I'm not going to try to say the name of that city. I think I know how to say it, but I'm not going to try. Probably good. Rachel, what's up? Welcome back. Sandy and Corrine, of course, from Massachusetts. You got here early, which is awesome. On my side, I only see like the most recent comments here. So I know you said hello earlier, but now I can see other people coming in. Hey, what's up, Graham? Good to see you. Awesome. I have an audio question today. I might actually start with that here in a moment. I have a couple websites to show you. We're going to talk about selling a business. That's what the audio question is about. I want to talk about a service business, some tips for starting a new service business. How does that differ from a product business? What are the advantages and disadvantages, etc. Have a question of the day. Hey, Sharon, what's up? Thanks for, Sharon is watching on Facebook. Let's see if I can put her, there it is. Sharon on Facebook in the UK. Nice, awesome. Layla or Lila in Toronto. And lots of other folks. Wow, okay, very cool. Glad I didn't get the plague. Thank you. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have the plague, but I don't think so. I think it's just a little bit of a cold. Several people in Malaysia, India, elsewhere. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So if you are watching live, it would be super awesome if you could click the little thumbs up button on YouTube. That just kind of shows YouTube that real people are watching. You can also subscribe to the channel and then click the bell to get notifications whenever we do this. So this is a community, a global community, as you can see. And I've always said that the best thing about all of my work, whether it's the books, this is the money tree. This is how I started this whole conversation back in April. Or events, which I used to do, or anything else. The best part about this experience really is everybody else who shows up and contributes to the conversation in different ways. So if you're watching later, I try to keep it evergreen to where you can still learn something. But for those who are watching live, you get to participate, and together we kind of co-create this whole conversation. What's up, Marvin Joe? Good to see you again. Hope it does not end your daily activity streak. Yes, I have a 500-day streak. I think it's like 515 days on my phone. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And I hope that well, actually, no, it'll take me a minute to find it on my phone, so I'm not going to do that. But yes, I hope I will be able to keep that up as well. So anyway, let's see. We talked about the thumbs up. We talked about a global community, people contributing in the chat. I'm not going to be able to see all the messages. So if I don't acknowledge your comment or question, I probably just can't get to it. But I do always at the end go back and look at everything that people say. That then informs what we do next week. So yeah, I hope you're holding up okay. Things continue to be kind of weird in lots of different places. And of course, it's different in different places. So you may be watching from somewhere that's better and more open and such. But I realize lots of people are still on lockdown, going through all kinds of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I'm continuing to do this. So let's see, let me jump into this audio question. And then I have a question for you, and we're going to do a little giveaway. I'm going to give a copy of the book away to someone, but I'm just going to switch the order a little bit here, just to kind of mix it up. So this is a question I got from, I believe it is Mike. And Mike sent in this question through the podcast form, which, let's see, do I have that somewhere? Not that one. This one. Nope, not that one either. Sorry. Well, actually, if you go to that link, that would also work. But the one I was thinking of was sidehustleschool.com/questions. So that must be hiding somewhere. Anyway, here is a question from Mike.
Hi, Chris. This is Mike Jacob from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I've been listening to the show for the past 2 years. Thank you for all the value you provide through your podcast and your books. My side hustle is called Saturdays a Rugby Day. It is a rugby lifestyle brand and custom uniform provider for United States-based rugby teams through our website at SaturdaysRugbyDay.com. My question for you is that when do you know it is the right time to sell your business? And in addition, where are the best places to sell your niche e-commerce based business? Thanks, Chris.
All right. So when is the best time to sell your business and where do you do it? So I'm going to go into this in more detail on the podcast when we get to Mike's question. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, I think. But the short answer is I think there are two things to think about. So one is practical. It's very like nuts and bolts business. And the other one is more just emotional or heart-centered, let's say. And to start with that one, I think the right time to sell your business is when you're ready to do something different or you're just ready to move on. So it's not always about like what are the metrics and what is the most strategic time to sell the business or whatever. It's like, what is next for you? Because life is short, right? There's all kinds of different stuff you could work on. So if you are ready to move on, then you should move on, because otherwise, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get burned out, and I learned that in my own life. Like I have to always pay attention and say, what am I excited about doing? What am I motivated to do? And it's not just about what I'm excited to do, because I want to hopefully create something that is of value, but that is an important factor, right? So that's the first one. But in terms of the business stuff, like the right time to sell is when you have a sustainable income that is somewhat predictable, because that is what the value of the business is going to be based on. And in terms of where you do it, which is kind of connected to this answer, let me see if I can pull something up here. Yes. Okay. I should be on a website now. Let's see if that works. Move some things around. Okay. This is the site I'm going to show you in just a moment. Not yet. So this is the one I'm going to show you now, bizbuysell.com. This is one of the largest, if not the largest, marketplaces essentially of businesses that are for sale, matching buyers and sellers. So they claim to have had 100,000 successful sales. 45,000, active listings at the moment. And you can actually just kind of go there and browse. It's kind of interesting to go there and browse and see, okay, what are the businesses for sale? And they always include lots of different metrics about their annual, income and what valuation they're looking for, like how many times annual earnings and such. So you can learn a lot by researching there, but that's also a good place to go if you're ready to sell your business. But again, the key point about like when is the right time business-wise, it's going to depend on that recurring income, or at least that predictable income. So a friend of mine named John Warrillow has written a great book about this. I think it's the definitive book. It's called Built to Sell. So if you're interested at all in like, not just even selling an existing business, because I know a lot of people watching, like, I don't have a business to sell right now. If you want to build your business in a way that is sellable, basically he's got some advice and some very practical stuff that will help you later on. So Built to Sell by John Warrillow is that. Okay, so that's the audio question. Let us do the question of the day, which is a question for all of you. Thank you for watching. I just saw that lots of other folks have joined us. Sandy, Christine, the Master Gaster, always good to have you with us. Randy Givens, you all are wonderful. Sylvia and on Facebook is watching from the Netherlands. That's cool. Caleb is here, featured in your Udemy courses, marketed in Facebook groups. Thanks for the feature, of course. Yeah, thanks for doing good work. Ashley is here from Guatemala. All right, lots of other folks. So question of the day, this is a question for you. This one's it takes some time to explain, but here's the question. What would you do with an extra day of the week? Now, obviously you could just answer it like that, but what I mean when I say an extra day of the week, like imagine that there is an 8th day of the week and you are gifted with this 8th day, and you can do whatever you want in this day, but it doesn't just come around once, it comes around every week, right? So I started thinking about this because there's this old exercise called your ideal day, which I think I first learned about from Barbara Sher We talked about her a few weeks ago on the podcast. Barbara was quite elderly and she passed away recently, but she was one of my influences and wrote a book called Wishcraft, many other books as well. And I think maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I read that book and there was this exercise about like, what does your ideal day look like? Your perfect day. And like, what do you do on that day? And what are you working on or not working on? And how do you spend your time and so on? And so I thought that was really interesting and it helped me think about a lot of stuff. But I also think now, having gone through that a lot, maybe there's a limitation to it because what you do on your ideal day or your perfect day is not necessarily something you would want to do like all the time, right? Like your one idyllic day is different from your ordinary life. And so if let's say you have your ordinary life, but you get an extra day each week, okay? So I'm curious what you would do with that. Feel free to let me know if you'd like and let everybody else know. Your quick answer to that, I will pick somebody and send them a copy of The Money Tree. And if you already have the book, that's awesome. This is a story about finding the fortune in your own backyard. It was a new kind of book for me, and I was really excited about going on tour to talk about it, which I couldn't do because of coronavirus. But I got the chance to come and talk to lots of people online, so that was good too. So let me know what your answer to that is, and let us see what else are we going to do here. We did that audio question. Let me show you another site before I skip back to the answers. So I talked about Biz Buy Sell. We're going to look at that one in a moment. For now, this is scrapmills.com. So this is a story I have coming up on the podcast. This is a couple in Alabama who started a paint your own sign experience. So this is a kind of a service business. You come to this and they got their inspiration from like the paint and sip parties where people like drink wine and paint like a canvas, but they thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could actually like paint a handcrafted sign and take it home with you? So they were doing really well with that, and now they have built their own course around like, here's how you can create this sort of business. So scrapmills.com. I think I don't know if they're earning a full-time living from it yet. We'll come back to that in a minute. But it's doing quite well, and so that's an example I thought of somebody who has tweaked an existing concept. There are lots of these kind of like paint parties. And this is one where you can go and come away with a different sort of product. It's also the kind of thing where, lots of events are not able to take place right now, lots of in-person gatherings. But with something like that, it's like a small gathering. Okay. So it's still a gathering, but you're able to do it socially distanced and such. So I thought that was cool. All right. So how would you spend that extra day? And then we're going to talk about service businesses. How does a service business differ from a product business? What are some key advantages to it, perhaps? And so on. I'll show you one more example. All right, let's see here. Shelley would spend the day writing. Nice. Erica, also on Facebook, would work on all my someday projects that I really want to do, but need to focus on to get it done. Yes. I have a lot of those projects. I have far too many someday projects. Shout out to Barbara Sher, also from Brooke, an amazing woman, huge influence, even though she was so subtle. Yes, one of the greatest experiences of my first couple years of blogging was when I realized that Barbara was reading my blog. And I was like, this is like, I don't know, President Obama reading my blog or something. I was very happy with that and honored. Okay. Sandy said I would use that day as planning out in detail what I would do the other 7 days of the week. That's great. That reminds me a bit of that. I don't know, what's the quote about how like if you had, 5 hours to cut down a tree, you would spend like 5 hours like sharpening your tools and then, 1 hour actually doing it. I'm probably like completely butchering that quote, whatever it was. Sambath is watching from Cambodia. Hey, what's up? Hope everything is okay over there. All right, let's see. Any other answers? Graham, that's very kind. I would gift my time to someone else. I don't know if that's an option, but then again, it's probably not an option to have an 8th day of the week. So I respect that creativity. Oh, look at this. Sandy just, here's the quote, 6 hours to chop down a tree. There you go. Thank you for actually like saying the right quote. Thank you. That's awesome. We're obviously on the same little wavelength there. Very cool. Lila, sorry. I would spend several hours in silence walking in nature, and when I return, I would make a list of random ideas, have a nap, and then listen to an hour of TED Talks. Awesome. Very cool. Let's see. A couple more answers. Here's Renee. I would do more veggie gardening. I put it to the side for side hustle time, so it's next tier important to me. And Lisa says more family time. Rhonda would spend the day bettering myself to obtain a plan for a better life, make a difference, seeking God's wisdom. And Miss Gigi, the things I'd love to do but don't have time to. Travel, self-reflection, and relaxation. Awesome. Here's one good quote. I had a power outage yesterday. I felt like I had a bonus day to sharpen my axe. Yeah, that's like a, unexpected bonus. Also a good way to look at it, because whenever that stuff happens to me, I get frustrated. So good attitude there. Okay. I'm going to pick Miss Gigi, whose quote I just read, as our winner today. Hopefully you haven't won before. We've done this so much now, I'm like forgetting, but I don't think you have. So if you would send a quick little email, Miss Gigi, to jed@sidehustleschool.com. That's Jed, Jedd, at sidehustleschool.com, and tell him you won the book. He will sort that out for you. And thanks everybody else for all your answers. Let's come back to this. A question here from Ekta Gandhi. Product is ready, sitting on my desk, too shy to market it, kind of stuck. Okay, what is the product? Tell us a little bit more about that. And I understand that you're shy, but you said that, so that's good. You're already kind of putting yourself out there. Let's see how we can help you. If you've got your product, it's ready, it's on your desk, let's try to find a way to get you unstuck. Seeing some more answers there, but I'm going to go on for now. So, all right. How does a service business differ from a product? So generally speaking, a product is something that people purchase. It can be physical or digital. So I just did a story about this guy who's making cheesecakes. So cheesecakes are his products. But a product could still be, as I said, something digital. It could be an ebook, it could be an app or some kind of software or something. But a service business, the way that I think of it is something that you do, right? So a product is something that you sell, you ship out that product or otherwise deliver that product to your customer. And a service is something that you need to do something for, right? They hire you, they pay a certain amount, and then you have to perform this service, whether it's a consultation or a coaching session or, just doing something for them. And it's not that one is better than the other, right? It just depends on, what are your goals? What is the idea? In some cases, the same kind of business can be a product or a service, or both, right? So, it partly also depends on your personality. Like, how do you want to spend your time? What are your strengths? Do you like working with people or not, and such? But one key advantage, one thing I wanted to mention while I drink some water. I have a little bit of a cold. I mentioned that earlier, but for those who are just joining, I don't think it's COVID, but who knows? So one key advantage is that with a service business, you typically have higher margins. So someone's paying you a certain amount of money. You don't have a lot of costs usually to provide that service. Okay, so hopefully you have a high profit margin, but that doesn't just mean that you make more money, which is good. Like, it's good to have a high profit margin. It also means that you then have the ability to invest more in your business. Perhaps you can invest more in marketing. It also means that not everything has to be perfect. Like, you can make some mistakes. You can have your website might not be the most optimized or amazing website. Your funnel may not be perfectly built out, but because you have a high margin service business, you're still able to be successful. Now, of course, there's a downside, right, as well. If you think about product versus service, with a product, somebody purchases it and then that's it. Like, your work is done usually, right, depending on the product. But with the service business, obviously, they have spent their money. Now you have to do something. Okay, so how do you what do you do about that? Like, how do you improve that? Because you're kind of trading time for money, which in general, you'd rather not trade your time for money. You'd rather like spend some time up front working on something and then provide it and then, get paid without having to do something for it every time. But I think the key is like the service businesses that I see that do really well, either financially or in terms of sustainability, they have built a process. Okay. So they have built a process to where, even though it's a service, they are not reinventing the wheel each time. And they have this method that they're following. When somebody places an order, like everything kind of falls into place. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples, or at least one example here. And if you have any comments or questions, just let me know and I'll try to come back to some of them. Let us see here. All right. Let's see if I can take myself off of this one. So this is the classic example that I have used a lot. I wrote about it in $100 Startup. Another friend of mine, Gary Leff, operates this site. I think he has a partner in it. So it's called bookyouraward.com. And I know a lot of people are not traveling right now, but a lot of people are planning trips for the future. And if you're interested in frequent flyer miles and that whole kind of world, this is actually a good time to book a trip for the spring or next summer because there's a lot of award availability on all the airlines because, people aren't booking trips. Anyway, what his service is, he basically will book people's trips for them, like using their frequent flyer miles because a lot of people don't want to mess with it. So I love this project because it's very straightforward what people get. You pay for this service and you know exactly what you're going to get in return. There's nothing like soft about it. There's nothing that has to be like explained. I mean, if you want to know the details, you can learn the details, but basically like they're using your miles to book the kind of trip that you want. And let's click on the pricing. This is also just really specific. Round trip booking, $199 per passenger. So if you think about this is a pretty high margin business because most people are going to be booking for 2 passengers, maybe even more, right? So just about $400, for each itinerary. And they've kind of got it down to a science to where like they know all about, what the best routings are, which airlines are likely to have availability. They might know what suggestions to offer and such. There's still amount of work, like a fair amount of work that has to be done, but it's the same kind of work over and over, meaning that it's relatively simple for somebody who's an expert in this. And they can essentially just kind of market this business, right? And they've been able to get endorsements from Condé Nast and other people talking about them. So I like that kind of approach better than just being like a general coach or a general consultant. That's a little bit squishier. That's a little bit like, okay, what do I get, if I hire you? So building a process is always going to help. It's always going to help make it easier to communicate the benefit of what you're offering. It's also going to make it easier to deliver, like what you say you're going to deliver. And it's going to not make it so difficult for you, like to have to figure out, as I said, reinventing the wheel each time. What do I do? How do I solve this person's problem? Okay, well, I know what questions to ask on the front end. When people place an order, they fill in some information. I know what to ask. I know what to do with that information. I know what the follow-up communication is going to be. Like the more you kind of do this and build out the process, then the easier it's going to be. And, the more, as I said, you'll just be able to focus on marketing, that. So that's why it's so important if you're going to have a service business to think about what is my process going to be? What will people get? We talked about offers before, and like every offer has a promise and it has a pitch. And so what is the key promise? And ultimately that promise has to be something about making your life better or easier, giving you access to an experience you wouldn't otherwise have, which is kind of what that award ticket booking service is. It's like, oh, I'm going to help you fly first class around the world. And yes, you could probably figure this out yourself, but if you don't have the knowledge, it's going to take you a lot of time and you might not be able to get, what we could get for you. So of course it could be some other service, but ultimately it's, that service is, what am I going to do to make, someone's life better, essentially. All right, let me just kind of regroup a little bit here, doing a couple of things that you guys can't see. Let me know if you have any questions or comments before we close out for the day. All right. Okay, now I'm back. Sorry about that. A couple things happening at once. Let us see. Okay. So Kim always says, I run a cleaning business and the cleaner's pay takes up 60% of the revenue. It takes a lot of cleanings to get profitable. So that's the kind of business that does benefit from like a systematic process. It does take a lot of cleanings to get profitable, as you said. But the people who develop a systematic process are going to do so much better in that kind of business. I had a story of this guy who was a college student. I think I wrote about it in the last book. And, he had built his cleaning business in Maryland, Washington, D.C. area to more than $20,000 a month in a pretty short period of time. But it was all about this systems-driven thing and about providing really clear and excellent communication and lots of follow-up and allowing customers to book by text and lots of different things that worked really well. Let's see here. This is a long comment. Sorry, fills up your screen there. I wanted to see it. Bonjour, Chris. I'm a jewel creator. I love doing it. People like my creations. I've often been asked to make personalized creations. I almost never do it. It kills my creation process completely. I have no fun doing it. Is it okay to say no? Okay, interesting. Tell me what you think. Love your work in books. I'm just going to take that comment off because it was on the screen, but I wanted to show people. Interesting. Well, our community would probably answer that and say, is it okay to say no? Of course it's okay, to say no. If somebody's asking for something, doesn't mean you have to provide it. You already have, the project that you want to have. And you have learned through experience that when people ask for these personalized creations, when you have said yes, then it kills your creative process. So that is a pretty strong negative, right? If it kills your creative process is worth something. Your creative process is what allowed you to start this business in the first place. Your creative process is what gives you ideas to do something else. So in a jewelry business or something else like that, it might be a good idea to offer personalized creations, or you might find, that in this experience, it's not a good idea. So I think it's really hard it's hard, but essential in life to say no to good ideas, because just because there's an opportunity to do something and somebody's willing to pay for it doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. And it sounds like you're doing okay with what you're already doing. So that's what I think about that. Good question. Shannon said, I just reread $100 Startup, and she has a sleep consulting business. I need that. I need that. I need a sleep consultant. That's fun. And Graham says, my 2 product businesses were easy: set up, sell, grow. The service business I'm trying to get into is hard because generating awareness seems so difficult. Yes. So I want you to think about that 8th day of the week, that extra day, because I think the whole point is it's not that we're going to have an extra day of the week. It's by thinking about that, as opposed to thinking about like your one perfect ideal day. The whole goal in life, I think, is to do more of what you want and less of what you don't want. And then to align those things with something that, is making life better for someone else. And if you can do that, then I feel like that's a great life. And that's a great life that can still be great no matter what else is happening in the world. It can still be great even if, there's so much else that you don't have control over. It can still be great if, your state or your city or country is on lockdown. It can still be great. You're not dependent on a corporation. You're not dependent on a government or an organization for your well-being. And that's what all of my work is about, essentially, is self-reliance and helping people just understand that they already have a lot of the answers that they need. And it's not for me or for anybody else to say, like, here's your permission slip, right? Like, you have permission, you take your own permission. And once you start building this kind of stuff and you start thinking, okay, what do I want to do with that extra day? How can I do a little bit more of that today? How can I do a little bit more of what I want to do the most? How can I do a little bit less of what I'm not enjoying? And, if I keep doing that day after day, I'm going to make a lot of improvement. I'm going to make a lot of changes in my life, a lot of positive changes. So that, I think, is the goal. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm going to wrap up here in just a second. I don't think I made a separate daily challenge for today. Oh, I did, actually. I forgot. Wow. I didn't sleep so well last night because I wasn't feeling good. But that's why I need the sleep consultant. So the daily challenge is one that we did way back in April. So if you have been watching these a lot, then you might remember, which is cool. But everybody else who's new, the daily challenge is to introduce yourself to a stranger. which could be virtually or otherwise, depending on what's happening in your life and your part of the world. Introduce yourself to a stranger. It's good to know different people. I'm an introvert, by the way. I am super introverted, yet because of the internet, because of this awesome community, like I'm enjoying getting to know different people. And so even if you're introverted and a little bit shy, then just know that that you have permission, not because I'm giving you permission, but because you can take it for yourself. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. I'm just kind of scrolling these final comments. I'm going to be here every Tuesday. I might do a little pause as we go into the fall, but I'll let you know what happens. Next Tuesday, I will definitely be here. So it's 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for hitting the thumbs up button. If you do that real quick, that would be awesome on YouTube and Facebook if you're there. If you're watching on Periscope, that's cool. You can send me hearts if you would like, but mostly I hope you do something for yourself. I want to encourage you to, just understand that even though there's so much that is outside your control, there's a little bit that's in your control. And you have chosen to spend, 30 minutes or however long you've been with us here, with this community, thinking about your life and maybe learning about like side hustles or small business. So you're already choosing to invest in yourself in some way, which is very cool. So, what comes next? What is your next step to do a little bit more of what you want and a little bit less of what you don't want? I will leave you with that today. And thank you so much for joining, everybody, from wherever you are, all over the world. I hope to see you again next time. Awesome. Have a wonderful day.